Going on, boys? What is going on? We are back. We are back. YouTube, Twitch, and Mixer for something a little bit different than what we usually do. Here we are live betting an Australian A-League game between Newcastle Jets and Melbourne City. That's how we're rolling today, boys. Like I have said for a long time, I make the majority of my money from live betting. And the good thing about live betting is the principles you use to make money in live betting transfer over nicely to many different sports. And at the moment, we don't really have anything to live bet. So, Australian A-League it is. So, hopefully, we'll be able to make some cash on this one. You're welcome to join in if you want. I will just basically be watching the action, looking to lock in any live bets that I can, and I'll let you guys know exactly what I am doing. Now, obviously, we're not able to really do this for MMA because the odds move so damn quick. But the beauty of live betting a sport like football is the odds move a lot slower. You have a lot longer to lock in your bets than you do on a fast-paced sport like MMA. So I want to do a lot more of these sessions. Where I kind of share my live bets with you guys and talk you through the methodologies I use for live betting other sports, and hopefully we can also all earn a little bit of extra cash along the way. So I am watching Newcastle Jets versus Melbourne City at the moment, a game being played behind closed doors, which is a little bit strange. These are strange times, of course, and you can kind of keep up to date with what I am seeing by whatever stream, whichever way you're watching the sport, just by kind of sticking to this clock here. You can see the countdown here. I'm about 20-30 seconds behind this clock, but we should, like I say, football very different to MMA. In MMA, a lot can happen in 20-30 seconds. Don't get me wrong, a lot can happen in 20-30 seconds in a football match too, but it's much slower paced. We have a lot more time to lock in our bets. So that's what I'm doing on a Monday morning, boys. Welcome to everyone that's watching. Hope you're having a great day. And this is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, man. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. Like I say, before I was live betting MMA, I was live betting a lot of other sports and doing pretty damn good at them. So during this apocalypse, boys, hopefully when we do get the odd game of football, oh Jesus, golden opportunity there for Newcastle Jets at the back post. Good defending though to make life difficult for this guy on the back post. It's going to be a little bit tricky, this, because obviously I'm not too sure who all the players are and stuff like this. So we're kind of just going on on how the game is unfolding. We're also going on momentum swings. We're also going on recent form. These are the kind of things you can kind of go off to make good money. Live betting pretty much any sport. What I would say, which is quite cool, I've just realised that there's an ex-Cardiff City player in this game. Joe Ledley played for my hometown club, Cardiff City, for many, 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 many years, and he's currently playing with the Newcastle Jets, which is pretty cool to see. Joe Ledley actually, I guess he doesn't live there anymore because he's playing in Australia at the moment. Poor decision making there from O'Toole, man. Poor decision making. Very, very difficult to score from that angle, especially when you got a defender right in front of you, man. He's kind of just thrown a left foot at that and spooned it well wide of the goal. I mean, he's in a great position here, O'Toole, to either force the defender to have to commit to make a challenge, or just get towards the touchline, man, and drill the ball across the 6-yard box. You've got plenty of teammates running in at the back post. Poor decision making there to take a shot on the back post. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Just a moment of madness. And that's a bit of a shame because Newcastle Jets were struggling at the start of this game. And they've slowly started to... is that Suzaeta from... Was he at AC Milan? I believe this guy was at AC Milan at one point in time. Or is this a different Suzueta? No, he's at Atletico Bilbao. Different guy I'm thinking of. Different guy. Alright, boys. Alright. So, got some people watching, man. Oh, no way. McSweaty Balls is just saying that this is the last game in the Australian A-League. So, this is probably the last bit of live betting that we're going to be able to do for a while, boys. Which is a bit upsetting, right? It's not good. But this is something that I do want to do a lot more of, even when MMA is back up and running, because obviously you can make a lot more live betting other sports. Something I've dabbled with in the past, you know, sort of like 6 months ago. Remember, I was making content on the YouTube channel on football, but when the MMA schedule really gets going and you get these back-to-back UFCs every event or every week, it's very, very difficult to focus on other sports. But I like to try and bet other sports as much as possible, especially sports I do pretty well on. Football is one of the sports I do really good on. NFL is another sport that I do pretty good on. Those are like my two main jams outside of the UFC. Newcastle Jets are growing into this game in a big way. They struggled in the first 15 minutes, but beautiful ball in. Again, at the back post, Newcastle Jets attacking the ball at the back post. That was unlucky, man. That was unlucky. Beautiful ball in. And Newcastle Jets really starting to knock on the door here in the last 10 minutes or so. They look a lot more dangerous in front of goal, man. Newcastle actually do look like scoring when they're going forward, whereas Melbourne have had quite a lot of the ball, but they haven't looked as dangerous. Awful throw-in. He gets the ball back from some good fortune here. Oh, well played. You notice with Newcastle, man, they are rushing, man. Put the ball in a little bit too early there. Ah, fucking hell. What I do like about Newcastle, though, every time they lose possession, they're hustling hard to get it back. That's one of the reasons why Melbourne have really struggled to get out their own half in the last 10 minutes or so. They're on the counter here. They've only got 3 men forward, though. Look how many men are back for Newcastle here. Melbourne finally starting to catch up, but very, very difficult for Melbourne to get anything going on the counter-attack when Newcastle are able to get that many bodies back. Initially, it was 2-on-2 when Melbourne first broke forward, but very quickly Newcastle were able to get a lot of bodies back. Very, very good defending there. We like that. We like that. Yeah, Philosopher, man. I want to Philosopher. I do want to start doing content on more sports if possible, dude. It's difficult with NFL though, because I put in a long hours on Saturday for the UFC, and then Sundays are like my family day. Obviously, the majority of games in the NFL are on Sundays, but if they did more Monday night and Thursday night games, we could focus on those. Because I'm usually live betting them anyway. Like, I usually live bet, you know, if there's any like games on at the highest level of sports throughout the week, I've usually got them on in the background, live betting them. I've just never really got around to live streaming the sessions before, but it's one of those things, man. With coronavirus at the moment, I'm just thinking, like, how do I level up? You know? How do I just work harder, basically, work smarter, do more? And obviously you can make a lot of money live betting other sports because you have bigger max bet limits, bigger liquidity, not necessarily on something like the A-League, obviously, but NFL, Premier League, that kind of thing. And I dabbled with putting out football content a long time ago on the channel. But when you do these planned videos, they do take a lot of planning, man. Whereas when we just do these live betting sessions, it's literally just as easy as me setting it up, watching the game, and just talking you guys through what I'm seeing and if I'm going to be placing any bets. Yeah, it's not good, Kuri, right, dude? It's not good, mate. Oh, how you doing, Definite Integral? Good to see you, man. Oh, one thing. So what I've actually started doing, boys. Obviously, we've got no MMA at all to focus on at the moment. So what I'm actually doing behind the scenes, I am actually building a training course for how to live bet, how to make money live betting, and what I'm going to be doing in these live streams is just talk you guys through the kind of stuff I look out for when I'm live betting. Because what's been really cool about making this course is it's there's so much that I do when I'm making decisions for live betting that I kind of do subconsciously. I don't even think about what I'm doing. There's kind of just principles and rules and strategies I've built up in my own head over the years that have become really effective. But when I'm now actually doing a course and I'm kind of playing out PowerPoint presentations and getting it all down on paper, you do realize how complex some of these principles and strategies are. So where we've got like long football matches like this, long live streams, I'm going to use these opportunities to talk you guys through kind of what I'm looking for and kind of like my decision making process behind the bets. Then hopefully, when there are times where I don't have time to do live streams like this because we've got a crazy amount of MMA, you can still use those principles that I share with you to make money betting on your own games. You know what I mean? Games that I'm not able to live bet. That's really what my goal is here, man. The thing you do notice about when you watch a lot of football, like I probably know, I would say, more about football than I know about MMA. I started playing football when I was just like 4 years old, and I played my whole life until I was in my early 30s. There's Joe Ledley, Cardiff legend. But I played my whole life, man. I believe I know a lot more about football than MMA. It's just that MMA is a lot easier to live bet because fights last 15 minutes. Football lasts for an hour and a half. And what you notice when you watch a lot of football from all over the world is every league has kind of like its own nuances, right? So every single league has like a different style of football, just like a slightly different style. And that's why international football is so interesting. You see like different styles clash, right? Or like why the Champions League is so interesting. You see these different languages of football clash. And, some of the differences, for example, you see the Premier League very open, for the most part. Obviously, at times when you get teams lower in the league playing teams higher in the league, you'll get a lot of, parking the bus tactics and stuff. But for the most part, you get two mid-table Premier League teams play. It's going to be end-to-end, action-packed, non-stop. And then if you look at the Spanish league, very, very much focused on possession. Possession is everything. The teams fight tooth and nail just to keep the ball. And you'll have teams rack up long periods of possession where they're not even putting the ball in dangerous areas. You look at the Premier League, when a team gets possession, it's all basically to move the ball forward to actually then put the ball in a dangerous position through a cross or a shot on target, whatever. Spanish football much more about possession, breaking teams down, and just keeping the ball. You look at Italian football. Italian football is very much based on defense and counter-attack. You see a lot of teams come in with very, very heavily defensive-based game plans, and then they just look to counter-attack their opponents quickly. It's a reason why teams like Juventus, Napoli are so successful in Serie A or Calcio A or whatever the fuck they're calling it these days, just because they're so good at counter-attacking, right? All their pace going forward. And in the limited amount of games I've watched from the Australian Premier League, the A-League, what I would say is something that's really, really interesting about the teams in this league. Like I say, I haven't watched like a crazy amount of games, but kind of like the language of kind of like football you see in the A-League is that teams play so deep. Like you're seeing it here. You've got Melbourne, 11 men behind the ball. 11 men behind the ball at all times. And you see it from Newcastle when the shoe is on the other foot. The teams play very, very deep, and I don't know why that is. It's very strange. Very strange. Great ball. Oh, you lay it off. Lay it off. Too late. Too late. Too late. Too late. Too late. Put yourself in trouble now and has to take a weak shot. Newcastle had men wide there. Newcastle had men wide and a lot of bodies in the box. Go wide, drill it into the 6-yard box. Force the defenders to have to deal with it. Don't just be fucking dicking around on the edge of the 18-yard box taking shots from positions like that where you're going to need to do something special to beat the keeper. Why are you shooting from there? Why are you shooting from there? Newcastle are just making bad decisions, man. Bad decisions when on the ball. Newcastle look more dangerous when they're going forward. Definitely look more dangerous, but they're just making poor decisions. And I guess this brings me on to like the first. This is Big Hug. Are you done with MMA? At the moment, bro, yeah, because there's no MMA. There's no MMA at the moment, mate. But definitely not done with MMA. No, that is my bread and butter. But while there is no MMA, we have to try and make some dough on anything that we can. A nice little A-League game here this morning. It's only 9 AM in the UK. Pretty nice to wake up to a live football match like this. Yeah, Rocco's just saying we've had some lower level MMA promotions this weekend. They had a nice little win on Cage Warriors, boys. Cheeky little win on Cage Warriors. Man like Jamie Richardson came through for us in a big way. I was very, very happy with Mr. Jamie. Where is Mr. Jamie Richardson? Very, very happy, man. Richardson came through for us. Nice even money bet, man, on Mr. Jamie Richardson. He dominated, man. Nice 30-26 win on one judge's scorecard. 30-27 on the others. So, yeah, definitely not giving up on MMA. I will never give up on MMA. We are in the trenches, boys. We made some money just on the weekend, on Friday night on Cage Warriors. So definitely nowhere near done on MMA. Obviously there is no MMA at the moment. So what we're going to do, half time is coming up, and at half time we're going to take a little deep dive into some of the recent form from these two teams. Some of the recent results. Look at the stats from the first half. Way up how the first half has gone. And see if we can find any decent bets. We'll start taking a look at the odds. See what we get going. And this brings me back to a couple of my live betting principles. I haven't talked about any of my live betting principles yet, but we'll talk about a couple of them here. So the first principle that I've got for live betting is, for the most part, when you're live betting a game like football, which lasts for an hour and a half, 90 minutes, you don't want to jump in too early, right? Football's a game of momentum swings. Teams can get fatigued. Players can get sent off. Key players can get sent off. Key players can get injured. Teams get worn out, right? Teams get frustrated with each other. Teams also, outrageous, bicycle kick in the 18-yard box just over the bar. But for the most part, live betting on a game like football is the complete opposite to live betting a game like MMA, because in MMA, you know, the fight only lasts for 15 minutes. That wasn't too far over the bar on the replay, you know. But MMA, a fight only lasts for 15 minutes, right? So you don't have long, right? You can't leave it until deep into the second round or the third round to make your betting decision, because by that time, one fighter is going to be in control. For the most part, this is not everything I say when it comes to betting, boys. This is why I'm building a course on live betting at the moment, because everything that I say is nuanced. There will always be exceptions to the rule, and the course allows me to go into more detail around when there are exceptions to the rule. But as a general rule, in MMA, you don't want to leave your live betting until late in a fight, because by then, you know, one guy is probably going to have established himself as being by far the more likely to win the fight, and therefore they'll be a big favourite, and it'll be difficult to make any money on that fight. In MMA, you want to try and get your money in as early as possible. When you live bet a sport like NFL, basketball, football, these long games, it's the complete opposite, man. It is the complete opposite. You want to leave your live betting activity, preferably until, late on in the second half. At least like 65% of the way through the game, 2/3 of the way through the game, because by that point you'll see how teams have reacted to multiple momentum swings. You'll be able to see what changes have been made to the teams from players coming off the bench or getting injured and being replaced. You'll also get a chance to see how both teams have reacted to various momentum swings and adversity. You'll be able to see how dangerous both teams look when they're going forward, how shaky they look defensively. And you want to leave it till late on in the game, and then you make your decision late on in the game. So it's completely different live betting a sport like football to live betting a sport like MMA. Another principle that I got to share with you in this live betting session is that in MMA, actually no, not in MMA actually, in any type of pre-game betting, MMA, boxing, football, rugby, basketball, ice hockey, darts, doesn't matter. Generally speaking, in pre-fight betting, the lower level the sport, probably the more value you can find. So by that, what I mean is, it's probably going to be easier to make money on the Norwegian second division football than the Premier League, because the Premier League is going to have loads of eyeballs on it, a lot of people watching the Premier League betting, and that'll correct the pre-game odds, right? Also on top of that, you've got the best players in the world, right? And whenever you've got the best athletes in the world at any level of the sport, why do great athletes become great athletes? Well, one of the reasons why great athletes become great athletes are because of their consistency, right? So at the highest level of any sport, you have more consistent performances. And that tends to mean that if you've got athletes that are more consistent, pre-game or pre-fight odds are going to be accurate the vast majority of the time, because athletes at the highest level of the sport are more consistent, so they're going to show up and do exactly what the bookmakers, the odds makers expected them to do. So it's hard to find value at the highest level of sports on pre-game, pre-fight bets, right? Pre-game, pre-fight bets. But it's a different thing in live betting, because in live betting, you actually use that consistency in your favour, right? So the reason why you find more value on pre-game, pre-fight bets before they take place is because you're more likely to see upsets and crazy shit happen and inaccuracies in the odds. That's why pre-game, pre-fight betting at a lower level is easier to make money on. So it's easier to make money on like Cage Warriors and UFC pre-game, pre-fight, right? I mean, look at Jamie Richardson, for fuck's sake. We made money on Jamie Richardson last week. He was even money, 1.90, minus 110, even money. And one judge scored the fight 30-26 in his favour. He completely dominated. It's very, very difficult to find that kind of value in MMA. You very rarely see a fighter at even money totally dominate. Maybe they win dominantly in terms of getting a flash KO or, a flash submission. But in terms of completely outclassing their opponent for 15 minutes, it's very, very unlikely you'll see that where fighters are capped at around even money. But you will get it in smaller promotions. Now, the complete opposite is true in live betting, because in live betting you want consistency. When you're watching the the fight, or you're watching the game live, whatever sport you're watching, you want fighters to be consistent. You want players to be consistent, because when you're live betting on the outcome of something that is yet to take place, you want to make sure that there's players out there good enough to put the ball in the net. You want to make sure that there's players out there good enough to stick to their positions, stick to their formation and tactics, and defend. Like, what's this guy doing? Why? And Newcastle can't even move the ball around comfortably in midfield. Why are they trying to move the ball around in their own 18-yard box? You never play around with a ball like this in these positions unless, even, how many times have Man City been caught out this season dicking around with the ball, just outside the 18-yard box? And obviously these Newcastle Jets players are nowhere near the level of Man City. Fucking get it out of there, man. But with live betting, you want consistent players, right? You want to be betting on games where the player can put the ball in the back of the net, or defenders can keep their formation, stick to their game plan, stick to their tactics. So it actually becomes easier to make money on pre-game, pre-fight betting the lower down the level of sport you go, where it becomes easier to make money in live betting the higher up you go, because you want consistency. As the easiest example I can give you is, imagine if you're betting on here we go, Newcastle are in. Oh, he's done well on his left foot. Beautiful goal from Newcastle Jets. Outrageous. Beautiful footwork, cutting inside on the 18-yard box, taking it on his left foot and burying it in the bottom left corner. But what I was just saying, boys, is imagine if you're watching a lower level of sport, right? Like a lower level of football, for example. So like Melbourne City are a good example. Melbourne City have had loads of possession in this first round, but when they get into the 18-yard box, they just don't look dangerous at all, right? At lower level of sports, you can find situations where you'll get a team like Melbourne City that will completely dominate a game, but they just won't have anyone skilled enough up front to actually put the ball in the net and score goals, and goals win games. So at the highest level of the sport, that's less likely, because the top clubs in the Premier League or, the La Liga, they're going to have multiple players in attacking positions that are skilled enough to put the ball in the net. Whereas at this level, who the fuck knows? So that's another one of the principles, man. For pre-fight, pre-game betting, you can find a lot of value on low-level sports. Live betting, you want to be betting at the highest level of sports. And that's what makes betting on games like this very, very dangerous. Makes betting games like this very, very dangerous because, both these teams are at an extremely low level. I mean, we've just seen Newcastle Jets put in a decent first half, to be honest, but at the same time, look at what we saw in the last 5-10 minutes where, their defenders who aren't looking at all comfortable on the ball, they want to knock it around in the 18-yard box and play games. It's taking a big risk. A huge risk. You know what I mean? And Melbourne, one of the attackers for Melbourne's only got to anticipate one of those passes among the back four, intercept, and he's basically in on goal. And it's not like Newcastle Jets appeared to be willing to make an adjustment to that style of play. It seems like they want to knock it about in their own 18-yard box, which is crazy to me. So now it's time for us to start taking a look at some odds, right? Now is the time to start taking a look at some odds and some stats. We'll put this down for now, boys. Let's catch up on the live chat as well. And thank you to everyone watching this morning, man. I really, really appreciate it. Hopefully you're enjoying this kind of stuff. It's a little bit different. Something a little bit different from us, right? But we'll catch up on the stream questions. What have we got? We'll go all the way back to the top, actually. James Luco, how you doing, man? Dane, how you doing? Dane Taylor, one of my elite members, man. Good to see you this morning, mate. Bert, good to see you, mate. Gucci, another one of my elites. Good to see you, man. WrestleMan UK, good to see you, dude. Cyfix, hello, mate. Whitetail, good to see you, mate. Alien, one of my VIPs. Good to see you, dude. Definite Integral, good to see you, man. What else have we got? Hey, good to see you, Rocco. Another one of my VIPs, mate. Good to see you, man. Everyone's telling me this is the last A-League game before the shutdown due to coronavirus. But Borland is saying Russian football is still going. So maybe we can switch over to Russian football. Russian football's a decent level, man. Russian football's a pretty decent level. Oh, nice one, Rocco, mate. Philosopher, the course is basically on the course is going to be on like all types of live betting. So a big part of it is MMA, like a massive chunk of it is on MMA. I would say like maybe 60% of the course is going to be MMA live betting. Like 20% of the course is going to be live betting other sports like football, basketball, and NFL. Those are the three main ones. On darts, those are like the four main ones. And then 20% is going to be like on betting theories, betting strategies, betting psychology. Because a really cool thing about live betting is like a lot of the principles around how to make money on live betting like transition, or they transfer over well to other sports. So for example, the strategies you'd use to make money betting on a sport like football, for example, also works quite well on basketball or NFL. And you don't need to know that much about the sports to actually make money live betting sports you don't know that much about. All you need to do is basically be able to like spot momentum swings and learn how the algorithms work for different sports. Because what you'll find for sports that last a long time, like football, NFL, basketball, tennis, everything is done like algorithmically based. Like if you actually sit there and you watch how the odds move for an entire football match, you'll notice that the odds move the same on every single game in the same way. So if you actually learn how the algorithm works, have a basic understanding of the sport, before the odds move in the way they're going to move, you'll know which way they're going to go, and that can enable you to get your money into really strong positions. It's one of those things where, like, for years I've made money live betting loads of different sports, but it's not until like in the last week where we've had this coronavirus outbreak that I've actually sat down and got like all this stuff that's bottled up in my head down on paper. And it is mega complex, man, but like it's crazy how you can make money live betting pretty much any sport, even if you don't know anything about it, just by understanding how the algorithm works and not jumping in, man. Just waiting for that right opportunity to get your money in a crazy good position. Because the thing is, like, the vast majority of people that live bet sports, they don't understand sports. They don't understand the way that sports work. So to give you a classic example, just a really basic example of how you can make crazy money in live betting. People hate losing, and people overreact to really bad things happening in sports. So for example, if we're watching a football match, right? And, you know, say Man City are playing Liverpool, and you've got loads of people watching that football match, and they're gamblers and they want to bet that football match. If they want like Man City to win or Liverpool to win and the opposite team score, they will have a meltdown. They will like literally go into like a full-blown meltdown, and they react very badly to teams conceding goals. And you actually see the algorithm in football reflect this. If you watch, like, for example, if we look at the odds on this game now, before the goal, Melbourne City were, I think, around a 2.30 favourite, and I think Newcastle were around about a 2.80 underdog. Now look at how much the odds have flipped, right? Now look at how much the odds have flipped, yeah? We've got Newcastle Jets as big favourites now, and we've got Melbourne City as big underdogs. But Melbourne City were the favourites before the game, and the only thing that's changed in this game is that Newcastle Jets have scored one goal. But now you can actually bet Melbourne City at 6.5 instead of 2.4, when not a lot has changed. What you find with live betting is that the odds react in a huge way to goals scored or points scored, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because how many games end 1-0? Sports is all a game of momentum swings, swinging back and forth. So now that Newcastle Jets have scored, that puts the onus on Melbourne City to come out and attack them and get a goal back in the second half to equalise. And if they do that, the odds will swing back to even. And then if Melbourne City score, the odds will swing back to them being heavy favourites. So live betting on any sport is all about observing the action in front of you, understanding how the algorithm works, and then it's about looking at the most likely outcome, but not necessarily being too influenced by the score. I know it's a very difficult thing to do, because some people will be like, oh my god, Newcastle Jets are winning 1-0, but you have to kind of detach yourself from the scoreline and think, what are reasonable outcomes here? What are reasonable outcomes? Because I will give you an example. If we just can we bring up Matchbook maybe? It's very difficult because I don't want my PC is actually blacklisted on pretty much every betting site in the world. So not every betting site in the world, but all the major ones. So I'd prefer to bring up an exchange if possible to try and find the odds on this. Do they have double chance? They don't. That's very, very annoying. Maybe they do. They don't. They don't. Alright. Tell you what, let's just bring up a site that I know has been banned on this PC, and then I don't care if it gets identified and red flagged and all that kind of stuff. No, I just want to see a sports book. Hopefully they'll let me see the odds. Let's take a look. This game here. And we want to switch to decimal. Alright, double chance. Let's take a look at this. So this is, I'm not saying to live bet this. Trust me, boys, these live streams, if I see a good live betting opportunity, I'm going to tell you to live bet something. But I'm just going to give you an example now of how you can easily find value on a sport that you don't know that much about, okay? So if we take a look at this game, so Melbourne City down 1-0. They played alright in the first half. They didn't look great, but there are going to be goal-scoring opportunities for them, particularly because Newcastle Jets play 5 at the back and they love to pass it around amongst the back 5, right? Melbourne City play with a high attacking line, so when the Newcastle Jets defenders are trying to move the ball around amongst the back line, Melbourne City are right on top of them, closing them down, trying to get an interception, trying to make a tackle. And if you make a tackle in this area of the pitch, when you've got defenders trying to pass the ball among the back 5, you're going to be in on goal as soon as you get that ball. So we know Melbourne City are going to have opportunities to score in this second half. Now, Melbourne City were the favourites before the game. If we look at the standings, Newcastle Jets are very, very close to the bottom of the league. Melbourne City are at the top of the league. So generally speaking, Melbourne City should have enough quality to beat a team like Newcastle Jets. Now, of course, the league position is a little bit sketchy because Melbourne City have got 3 games in hand. Sorry, Melbourne City have played 3 more games than Sydney at the top of the league. So Melbourne City's true position in the league is probably more around mid-table because obviously Western United, Perth Glory have only played 20 games. Melbourne City have played 23, but they have played only 1 more game than Newcastle Jets. So they've got 40 points. Newcastle Jets got 24. Fair to say, Melbourne City probably quite a bit better than Newcastle Jets. If we look at the form from both teams, this is very, very important in football. We can see that Melbourne City have done extremely well, right? And they've won 3 of their last 4 games, undefeated in 4. Newcastle Jets aren't in particularly bad form either, but if we look at the teams that they've been playing, so we saw Melbourne City hammer the bottom of the league team 4-2 in their last game. They drew 1-1 with WS Wanderers, mid-table team. They beat Perth Glory 3-2. Towards the bottom of the league, beaten Brisbane Roar 1-0, pretty good result considering they're above them in the league, and they beat Wellington Phoenix, or they lost to Wellington Phoenix 1-0, who are the top of the league team. So in their last 5 games, Melbourne City's only loss has come against the team that are top of the league, so obviously no shame in that. Wellington Phoenix look like the best team in the league. If we look at Newcastle Jets, they lost 1-0 to Brisbane Roar. They beat Adelaide United 3-0, who are down the bottom. They beat they beat Perth Glory 2-1, who are also towards the bottom of the league. And they also they drew with Melbourne Victory, who are towards the bottom of the league. And they drew 1-1 with WS Wanderers. So if you look at the difference between the 2 teams here, Melbourne City have done quite well against teams around mid-table to top of the league, whereas most of Newcastle Jets' good results have come from teams lower down in the league. So even though Newcastle Jets are winning 1-0 at the moment, based on past performances, just literally going off the numbers here, and based on how Newcastle Jets look dodgy at the back with the way they want to pass the ball around amongst their defenders, there's a good chance the Newcastle Jets are going to find a way back into this game at some point. There's a good chance the Melbourne City are going to find their way back into this game at some point, especially with how sketchy Newcastle Jets look in defence when they're like knocking the ball around, you know, amongst their defenders. It's something they did throughout the whole of the first half, and it could get them into a lot of trouble. Because what you find in football, as the game goes on, defenders will start to get tired. They'll start to become fatigued, and they'll start to make mistakes. Right? They won't time their passes as well. They'll be more likely to give the ball away. So Newcastle Jets will be more likely to make mistakes as the game goes on. Now, if we look at it at the moment, if we look at the odds on this game here, you can currently bet Melbourne City at 2.25 to win or draw. So you're covering two outcomes, the win or draw, and you're getting better than even money. 2.25, which is plus 125. So here you can bet the team that was originally favourites to win, who have done pretty well against teams higher up in the league than Newcastle Jets, that also are playing against the team who do look like they're prone to making mistakes defensively. You can actually bet them at better than even money to either draw or win. So that's like one example of how you can make a lot of money in live betting just for waiting for these opportunities to pop up. Now, there's two camps of people. The first camp of people will be like, you know, there's no way I want to bet that at the moment because, you know, Melbourne losing 1-0, and if Newcastle just go out and get one more goal, it's going to be very difficult for Melbourne to come back into the game. Or there's another train of thought where you could look at it and you could be like, well, Melbourne were originally the favourites. They've beaten teams higher up in the league, better teams than Newcastle Jets, and now not only are we betting on Melbourne to win the game, we can bet them to win or draw at very, very favourable odds. So these are the kind of things you have to look for in live betting, just like a little example. And also, if we look at the form again, we can see that Melbourne scored 4 goals against Central Coast Mariners. They scored 1 against the Wanderers, 3 against Perth Glory, 1 against Brisbane Roar. The only team that were able to stop them from scoring was the team that were top of the league, Wellington Phoenix. Now, if you look at Newcastle Jets, they conceded against Brisbane Roar. They didn't concede against Adelaide United. They conceded against Perth Glory. They conceded against Melbourne Victory. And they also conceded against WS Wanderers. They don't concede many, to be fair. They don't concede many. But it does show that they do concede goals. If we just go back and look a little bit further throughout their results. If we look at... So they've conceded in a very high percentage of their games. How many clean sheets have they been able to keep? So they've kept a clean sheet there, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So they've only kept 4 clean sheets in their last 21 games. 4 clean sheets in their last 21 games. So it'll be very interesting to see what both teams' the score is here. And look here, Newcastle trying to play their way out from the back here. Newcastle trying to play their way out from the back. But this is 4-on-2. This is 4-on-2. Melbourne City trying to get men back. What's both teams to score? Both teams to score. Yeah, you know what, boys? I'm going to have a little bet here. I am actually going to take this, but not yet. Not yet. This is looking like a good bet. Both teams to score at 1.57. We can, if we wait a little bit, this comes back to learning how the algorithm moves. If you just wait 5-10 minutes in this half, you're going to be able to get close to even money on both teams to score here. Because the longer the game goes, the algorithm improves the odds on both teams to score. Let's just take a quick little look at... Melbourne City's goal scoring record. They look like they've got a lot of goals in them. 4 goals, 1 goal, 3 goal, 1 goal. So how many games have they not scored in? 1, 2, 3. So they've only not scored. They've only not scored in 3 of their last 21. They've only not scored in 3 of their last 21. And you can currently... This is what I'm trying to say to you, boys. If we bring up the implied probability calculator, it's all about playing the numbers in live betting, right? It's all about playing the numbers. So currently, both teams to score is 1.59. Notice how the odds are getting better, boys. We said this would happen. We said the odds would start to get better. We said the odds would get better as the game improved. As the game went on. So odds of 1.59. Odds of 1.59 carries an implied probability of 63%. It's minus 169. If we get Google up, 3 is... So this is where you can calculate value in live betting. So at the moment, you can live bet both teams to score at 1.59 for an implied probability of 63%. 3. So we know that Melbourne City have scored in 18 of their last 21 games, right? 18 of their last 21. Which comes to... So they've only haven't scored in 14% of their last 21 games. So if you take away 100, take away 14%, you're left with 86%. So what that tells us is there's an 86% chance the Melbourne City are going to score in this game. There's an 86% chance the Melbourne City are going to score in this game. And the implied probability on this outcome is 63%. So you're getting a great margin of value. You're getting an absolutely fantastic margin of value. And what I am actually going to do, boys, I'm not going to hesitate on this. I'm actually going to bet this. See how it's improved? It's gone to 1.61. This is all about learning how the algorithm moves. As the game goes on, the odds on both teams to score will get better. But I'm not going to wait any longer, boys. I'm not going to wait any longer because obviously Newcastle Jets are trying to play the ball out of defence. It could get him in a lot of trouble. We're starting to see Melbourne City commit more men going forward. So I'm going to bet both teams to score here, boys. I think this is a good bet. Melbourne City have scored in the vast majority of games this season. So I am going to get on this one, boys. I'm going to get on it. Let me just place my bets here, boys. And we will also keep an eye on that double chance as well. Just placing my bets, boys. Placing my bets. Just give me 2 seconds and then I'll be back on my rabbity. Oh, where's both teams to score on William Hill, boys? Oh, here we go. We got it. Pop that in there. I hate bet DSI. So we will leave this up, boys. We will leave it up. Just make sure my bets are in. That's done. That's done. And that is done, boys. That is done. We like it. We like it a lot. I'll just catch up on the live stream chat now, boys. We'll just catch up on the live stream chat. Cyfix is asking me how big I am on these live bets. Not too big, dude. Not too big. Like I've just bet around £500 on both teams to score here. Just bet about £500. Nothing too big. Like I say, in games like this, you really want to bet to... Sorry, it's really loud outside. The garbage men are just coming to collect our garbage. Garbage still has to be collected, even in an apocalypse, as you know. We'll wait for them hard-working gentlemen to move past, and then you'll probably be able to hear me a lot better. There we go, boys. They're off. Yeah, I don't go crazy big on games like this, because you've also, when you're live betting games, you've got to realise your edge as well, right? So earlier on, we were saying the higher up you go in terms of the level of sport, the more consistent players are. So a team like Melbourne City, a really low level of football, the A-League. A team like Melbourne City are going to be less consistent. So even though they have scored in 18 out of their last 21 games, who knows, man? These are crazy times. They're playing in an empty stadium. Coronavirus. Maybe they're worried about their family. Maybe they're worried about how they're going to get home. Maybe they're stressed out. Maybe they're worried about money. I can't imagine these players will be getting paid too good. So you don't go too big on games like this. You can go bigger on games where players are more consistent, where you're betting on a team like Melbourne City essentially to score, and you know that they'd have a higher level of striker, a higher level of attacking player. Oh, look at this! Number 44 heads the ball back to his keeper, almost in the path of the striker from Melbourne City. Outrageous. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make, you don't want to go too big on teams like Melbourne City, because a team like Melbourne City aren't going to have the highest level of attackers, even though they've scored in 18 of the last 21, and Jets have conceded in a massive percentage of games. You don't want to go too big on teams like this, because just like the lowest level of MMA, these players can be inconsistent. They're not too technically skilled. The attackers haven't looked that dangerous. Here I'm more banking on the Newcastle Jets defenders making a mistake. The Melbourne City actually looking dangerous in front of goal. They just, like you see there, number 44, as he headed the ball back to his own keeper. These are the kind of mistakes that players make when they start to get tired late on in a game. They can gift a goal to their opponent. So not too big, man. The higher level of sports in live betting, you can go bigger. Players are more consistent. The point, I guess, as another example, say for example, a Newcastle Jets player does make a mistake, right? And they give the ball away to a Melbourne City player in the 18-yard box. At this low level of football, there are no guarantees that if these Melbourne City attackers get into a dangerous position, they're going to be skilled enough to put the ball in the back of the net. Whereas the higher level up in sports you go, the more chance there is that if you gift a player a good opportunity to score, they're going to put the ball in the back of the net. So you don't go too big on games like this. Dark Denizen saying, where have you been these last few events? I've still been betting on my website, mate, but YouTube videos take a lot of time to plan out and produce, and over the last couple weeks I've just been preparing for the coronavirus shutdown. Obviously, I'm self-employed. All my income comes from betting on MMA. So about a month ago, I realised that there was a good chance UFC would get cancelled, and when that happens, I wouldn't have any income. So I had to just basically get my hands on 6 months of money in my bank account so I can survive for 6 months if there's no UFC events for 6 months. I've got 2 elderly parents I have to take care of. I have to get groceries. So usually if I do YouTube videos, and I live stream my research on my website. You know, I write up my bets, pop them out. That's like a 50-60 hour work week. So I wouldn't have had time to plan for coronavirus on top of that. And YouTube's always the easiest thing for me not to do, because obviously got to take care of the members on my website. I've got to still research the fights for myself to be able to live bet them. YouTube's like the one thing that when I'm super busy I can kind of not do. So yeah, I was trying to sort out coronavirus, man, and now we just get to stay home. Stay home, right? Oh, Craig Noon plays for Melbourne City. Boys, this is good news for our bet. Craig Noon is an amazing player. Craig Noon's amazing. He used to play for Cardiff City. Craig Noon is legit. Craig Noon is legit, boys. Craig Noon's legit. He will tear this Newcastle Jets defence apart. He will tear this Newcastle Jets defence apart. Craig Noon, top player, man. Top player. Happy to see Nooney coming on. That is a good sign for our bet, boys. I will say that. That is a good sign for our bet. We like to see Craig Noon coming on. Cheeky Scouser. We love it. We love it. Very good to see a familiar face come on here as a sub for Melbourne City. Very nice. We got any more comments? Aliens tailed the both teams to score. And guys, what we'll see now, if we go back onto LV bet, the odds probably would have got a lot better on both teams to score. So the real battle with with placing bets like this is when is the right time to pull the trigger. Remember what we said? If we waited a little bit, we get even money. The odds are almost close to even money now at 1.82. But the danger is, it's like a fine line, right? You want to get a good enough deal where you know you're getting good value in the odds, but you also don't want to hesitate too much, not pull the trigger, and then miss out on the bet if Melbourne City were to go forward and score. That's what you got to watch out for, right? Oh, nice one, Alien, mate. Yeah, it's kind of cool, man. People on my website for years have said, like, why don't you write a book on live betting? And the problem with writing a book is live betting's so complicated. Oh, he's been able to keep it in. Live betting's so complicated that a book is just really difficult. Oh, look, the defender's trying to flick the ball out of the 6-yard box with his heel, taking big gambles. These Newcastle Jets defenders, man. That could have gone anywhere when he flicked it out of his own 6-yard box with his heel. Literally could have gone anywhere. Could have just dropped to a Melbourne City player right in front of goal. Craig Noon, former Cardiff City winger. This guy's legit, boys. Great ball. Oh. Jets getting a lot of men back here. But Melbourne City starting to build momentum, starting to pen them into their own 18-yard box here, which we do like to see. Yes, mate, both teams to score, Whitetail. We got both teams to score here, mate. I think my internet might have died. Oh, no. Oh, no, we're back. We're back. Oh, outrageous. Oh my god, this game's getting spicy, man. Melbourne City starting to knock on the door, as we say in football. Melbourne starting to knock on the door here, boys, creating more opportunities going forward. Now, the one thing about Melbourne is that they don't look dangerous at all in front of goal. They haven't looked like scoring in the entire game. But Newcastle Jets look so dodgy at the back that I don't even think it's going to matter. I can see him gifting Melbourne City with a goal, a strong goal scoring opportunity, because even here, playing around with the ball, amongst your defence. I mean, look at this guy. What is number 4 doing? Dilly-dallying on the ball in these positions. You don't dilly-dally on the ball in these positions. You get it out of the danger zone. And, I mean, if Newcastle Jets keep dicking around with it at the edge of their 18-yard box like this, Melbourne City are going to get goal-scoring opportunities. There's no doubt. And now Newcastle Jets, their first real attack in the last, their last sort of 15 minutes. Great position here. He's going to drill the ball across the 6-yard box. And the long ball out from Melbourne City. Oh, well, come on, ref. Fucking yellow, mate. Luna did a great job to get that ball under control there. We like it. We like that a lot. We like that a lot. Joe Ledley's coming off. Who is coming on? Ledley is not happy about going off. And there you see Ledley with a 94% pass accuracy, but that is because all of Ledley's passes tend to go backward. Oh, is this what? Is this Wes Hoolahan? Oh my God. Newcastle Jets bring Wes Hoolahan on, former Norwich City player. Hoolahan's pretty decent, man. Now, Hoolahan, from memory, is an attacking midfielder. So why would they be bringing Wes Hoolahan on? So yeah, Hoolahan is an attacking midfielder, boys. So a very strange move from Newcastle Jets here, because Joe Ledley's a defensive midfielder. Oh, well played. It's just no one. No, look at this. Look at this. The ball's in the 6-yard box. The ball's in the 6-yard box, and Newcastle Jets are literally trying to play it out of the 6-yard box instead of clearing it. It is fucking suicide, boys. Newcastle, you can see why Newcastle Jets concede so many goals, because they fuck around with the ball in dangerous areas. The ball dropped to the centre back in the 6-yard box, and rather than him putting it in fucking row Z, he tries to play it out. He passes him. He lays it off to his mate. It's outrageous. It's outrageous, boys. Like, Melbourne City aren't dangerous in front of goal, but Newcastle Jets are taking a lot of gambles in their own 6-yard box here. Beautiful control here from Craig Noon. And I was just saying that it's a strange substitution to bring Wes Hoolahan on for Joe Ledley, because Joe Ledley's a defensive midfielder, and if you've got a 1-0 lead, Melbourne City's starting to grow in momentum, starting to knock on that door. Fucking terrible cross. Terrible cross. If you see your opponents starting to knock on that door, it's unusual how the Jets would take off a defensive midfielder in Joe Ledley for an attacking midfielder in Wes Hoolahan, because you'd be thinking that, I mean, look, Jets are struggling to get out of their own half here. Aside from the odd counter-attack, they really are struggling to get out of their own half. Oh, beautiful interception. Well played. Oh, beautiful ball. Outrageous. Lay it off. No. Oh, for fuck's sake, man. Jesus Christ. Lay it off. They're like headless chickens when they get the ball in the 18-yard box. They can't wait to spoon it goal bound, and you can see McLaren's very frustrated with himself. I would be as well. No shame in going back, McLaren. He's trying to drill the ball in between 3 defenders. No shame in going back, man, and just keeping possession there. And you can see he's frustrated with himself. Very, very frustrated. But Melbourne City obviously knocking on the door here. Growing in momentum. They just don't look dangerous in front of the goal. That's the danger here for this bet. They don't look dangerous in front of goal. Plenty of possession. They're getting the ball into dangerous areas, but they're not looking like scoring. Oh, beautiful ball at the back post. Great defending. Absolutely superb defending from Kutrumbis. We like that. We like that. They were queuing up at the back post. They were queuing up at the back post for Melbourne City. We like that. We like that. Good defending. Good defending. And a beautiful ball in, man. Beautiful ball in from the right back, Atkinson. But this is the problem. Melbourne City don't look dangerous at all in front of goal. But Newcastle Jets look so bad defensively that you'd anticipate Melbourne are going to get a couple of golden opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net. I mean, look at this. Look at this. They're dicking around with it again. What is the goalkeeper doing? What is the goalkeeper doing? crazy. Newcastle Jets are taking big gambles at the back. It's been all Melbourne City this half. It's been all Melbourne City this half. But obviously, they just don't look dangerous in front of goal. What have we got here, boys? Cyfix, you still have that double chance bet in your head. What should we place that one at? Are we waiting for the odds or some change in the game? The thing with the double chance bet, dude. Melbourne, at the moment, we've already got some... So this is the way I look at this, boys, as well, right? It's important not to take on too much risk. So we've bet on both teams to score here, right? Newcastle look terrible defensively, but Melbourne don't look that dangerous going forward. They just don't have a very high level of attacker. You know, aside from Craig Noon, but obviously Craig Noon is a wide man. He's not through the middle. He's not going to be in that 6-yard box. He's not going to be in that 18-yard box in goal-scoring positions unless he cuts inside, which, to be fair, Craig Noon does like to do. But Melbourne don't look like scoring here. But we're betting on both teams to score on the basis that Newcastle Jets are so bad defensively that they're probably going to gift goal-scoring opportunities to Newcastle Jets. But we've got our money in a decent spot on both teams to score. But you don't want to end up with too much risk on the table in one game. Because if you go and bet double chance now, and Melbourne City aren't able to score, you know, you lose 2 bets instead of 1. That's not what you want to do, man. Keep it tight. Find a strong position to put your money. We know our money's in a strong position here. You know, Melbourne have scored in 86% of their last 21 games. Newcastle Jets look poor defensively. They've conceded in a massive percentage of their games. There's a good chance Melbourne City score here, especially how they are, you know, especially how they're starting to get more and more possession in dangerous areas. But you don't want to go and place 2 bets that are dependent on the same outcome. In order for that double chance to win, you're going to have to... Melbourne City are going to have to score, and they don't look particularly dangerous in front of goal. Whereas both teams to score mean if Newcastle Jets do go on the counter-attack and nick a second goal, you know, you can still make money on both teams to score just so long as Melbourne City can put the ball in the back of the net. I would say it's pretty likely Melbourne score at least 1 goal here with how bad Newcastle look defensively. But it's unlikely they score more than 1. So say Newcastle go and get a second goal. Oh! 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 What are we saying, boys? Everyone making money on a Monday morning? Everyone making Monday? Everyone making Monday? Everyone making money on a Monday motherfucking morning. Live betting, bitches. Live fucking betting. You can make tons of money live betting, boys. Tons of money. Trust me, boys. Trust me. The prophecy has been recognised. Decent odds. What did I say? Wait deep into the game. Wait deep into the game. Take a look. Weigh everything up. Consider the big picture, boys. Consider the big picture. Put your money in a strong position and then let the profits come. That's all we need to do, boys. That's all we need to do. Live betting. It's no difference if it's fucking MMA. It's no difference if it's football. It's no difference if it's dominoes or fucking tiddlywinks. You can make money live betting anything because the algorithms move in predictable ways and the odds overreact to goals scored, to points scored. If you understand this, you can make a lot of money live betting. Everyone making Monday on a Monday. Here we go, bitches. Alright, boys. So now we've got money in the bank. We can start to I guess what am I going to say here? Look, what I'm doing, right, boys? What I'm doing, I am using these live streams as an opportunity to train you guys up because people always ask me for help and advice on making money live betting on MMA, and I can't help you make money live betting MMA unless you're one of my elite members. Then I can help you, but I can't take on an unlimited amount of elite members because the liquidity is too low on MMA, right? If I have 100 people tailing my live betting tips in MMA and 100 people go try and place the same bet at the same time, the odds will just get destroyed and suspended very, very quickly, right? I can't help people make money live betting on MMA. It's why I'm producing a course at the moment. But I can help you make money betting other sports, because liquidity is much higher on other sports. Liquidity is super high on football, and we have a lot of time to lock in our bets before the odds get suspended, right? So I can use games like this as opportunities to teach you guys the skills to make money live betting. That's my goal. Because these are tough times, boys. You know, I have no income at the moment. I literally have no income at the moment at all. My income has been decimated by coronavirus. I'm making no money, right? I imagine a lot of you guys out there right now watching this are in the same boat. You're worried about cash at the moment. You haven't got an income. You're worried about losing your job. Maybe you've already lost your job. Maybe you're not getting paid because the business you work for is closed down, right? These are scary times for everyone. I want to use these live streams on whatever sports we've got to live bet. If it's fucking table tennis, whatever it is, just to teach you guys the skills to make live betting. Make money live betting any sport. It can be done, boys. Trust me, I make money live betting pretty much every single sport that I live bet. And I don't know that much about the majority of sports I live bet, but the principles are the same. Figure out how the algorithm works. Consider recent form. Look at the big picture, and then look for an opportunity to gain money into a strong position based on the odds. The formula is simple, but there's obviously a lot of nuances to that formula, which we'll be talking about a lot in the live streams. I'm putting them in a training course at the moment, but everything in the course I'm going to be talking about in these live streams, don't you worry. So now brings us on to another principle that I want to talk about, right? Another principle, yeah? And the principle is, make money by any means necessary. Make money by any means necessary. And a big part of making money by any means necessary involves not being greedy. So we've all hit a decent winner this morning. We got in on this, both teams to score at decent odds. And the temptation for many people now will be, well, Melbourne City have been in total control this second half, right? Newcastle have had maybe 2 or 3 counter-attacks, but haven't looked particularly dangerous when they're going forward, and Melbourne City are just building pressure, building. So at times like this is where you have to consider the big picture, right? And take everything that you know about live betting into consideration. Now, I'm going to be talking about some principles here in the final 15 minutes of the game that I haven't had time to share with you guys yet, but they are critical to making money. They are critical to making money from live betting. So, a lot of people will talk about value bollocks, right? A lot of people talk about value and plus EV bets and all that bollocks, which doesn't mean anything. Because ultimately, you can't pay your bills with plus EV bets or value. You have to pay your bills with money in the bank. So, first thing that I would say to you is treat every single game or every single game, not so much a fight because fights are over quickly, but treat every single football match that you live bet like it's a poker tournament, right? And the goal of a poker tournament, or treat it like a cash game session, right? The goal of any poker session is to make money by any means necessary. So now that we've put money in the bank on this both teams to score bet, what you don't want to do is risk these profits, right? I'm not saying you can't find another decent value bet on this game. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is you must make money by any means necessary. So if you can keep racking up consistent wins, that's when compound interested growth can really kick off. When you start to put, these gains in the bank, you can start to rapidly compound the money that you make, right? That's when you start to rapidly compound your profits. Still playing it around amongst the back four. Do you see this? Number 44 for Newcastle Jets, again, has almost given the ball away just outside the 18-yard box. He's done it throughout the game, man. Honest to God, he wouldn't be in my team He wouldn't be in my team. If I was his manager, he wouldn't be in my team. Not a fucking chance. Too dodgy, man. But, like I was just saying, dangerous position this for Newcastle Jets, boys. Now they're starting to grow back into the game. Oh my God! Outrageous. Outrageous. Peach of a right foot, lads. Peach of a right foot. Peach of a right foot, lads. Peach of a right foot. And this goes back to what I was just trying to make a really long-winded point. But the point I was trying to make is, oh my God, number 44, not only is he a fucking knucklehead on the ball in his own 18-yard box, but he's also just smashed his mate on the top of the head. Peach of a right foot, mate. Keeper should have done better. 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 Keeper, man. Keeper made that look a little bit more. Keeper made it look a better goal than it was. Keeper made it look a better goal than it was. To be fair, keeper made it look a better goal. That was a Hollywood type save from the keeper. He was out of position. If he was in the right position, he probably could have just caught it. Bad goalkeeping. But anyway, boys. Back to the point I was trying to make, and it comes back to well, it's an even better point now that Newcastle Jets are winning again. Oh, they're in again. Oh, good hands from the keeper that time. Would have been very, very easy to parry that ball out to his left, where the Jets winger would have been waiting and unmarked. So good goalkeeping there. A little critical of the Melbourne keeper for the goal, but good save there. Just wanted to make a point that you must make money by any means necessary. So if you've made a profit on both teams to score in this game, and you see another good betting opportunity pop up, maybe Melbourne to win straight or Newcastle to win straight, you don't want to commit all of your profits to that second bet. What you want to do is just take a percentage, man, maybe 30%, 40%, 50% of the profits you've made, and place it on a second bet, so that you've already made you've made money on this game whatever happens. Big mistake that I see people make is that they get greedy, so they win the first bet on both teams to score, and then they're absolutely itching to place a second bet. And the mistake that they'll make is they'll dump off all their profits from the first winning bet onto a second bet that could potentially lose. That's not what you want to be doing, boys. Make money by any means necessary. Put money in the bank. That's how you get true compounded growth. True compounded growth. Fuck all these jabronis that talk about plus EV bets and talk about value and all this kind of stuff. Yes, they're important. You know, plus EV bets, value is important, but making money is way more important. And when you've put money in the bank, keep money in the bank. Don't go and donate it back to the bookies on a second bet that might lose. This has been a good campaign this morning, and unless we see a super strong position jump out at us now, there's no need to pull the trigger on a second bet. It's all about discipline. Don't be greedy. Do not be greedy, boys. Do not be greedy. And we will catch up on the comments now, boys, with 10 minutes left to go in this game. Oh, Bet the Hitman Shart is saying check out SofaScore. Oh, nice one, dude. I'll make a note of that, mate, and I'll check it out. I'll check it out after this, dude. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much, man. And you're also one of my members. I appreciate it, dude. Thanks a lot, dude. Thanks a lot for the support. Really appreciate it, man. Philosopher is saying, who's riding and dying? You always have to ride or die, man. At the end, this is another point that we'll cover. Actually, I haven't put this in my notes. I haven't put this in my notes for my live betting course. I need to do this. Never use cash out, ever. Never use cash out. Pretend it doesn't exist. I'll move this over here. That's another thing that I need to put in my course, which I completely forgot to include. Never use cash out, boys. And I'm gonna have to. That requires quite a long explanation that I won't go into here because this game's still running. But never use cash out ever. Never use cash out. Ride or die always. Philosopher K is saying, "What's the most you've bet on a soccer game?" Thousands, man. Probably like £4,000 or £5,000, I reckon, something like that. I used to do it quite regular as well. Not so much anymore because there's so many more UFC events now than there used to be. But I used to bet big money on football. Not pre-game, never pre-game, but I used to bet big money live betting football. Philosopher, do you bet cricket? I don't bet cricket, mate, because like I do say like the strategies I use for live betting work for most sports, but they don't work too good for sports like cricket, because a big part of my ability to make money live betting most sports is just the ability to read momentum swings and anticipate momentum swings. It's much harder to do that in cricket because obviously teams take it in terms to bat and field. So it's much more difficult to kind of get a read on the momentum swings in a sport like cricket. So I don't live bet cricket, no mate. Oh, nice one, Ginkgo. Nice one, Borland. Nice one, Dane. Nice one, Alien. Nice one, Beep Beep in my Jeep. Nice one, Tony, man. Nice one, Tony Montana, dude. Nice one, Croxy. Cheers, dude. Croxy, another one of my elite members, man. Nice one, Bert. Cheers, Bert, mate. Cheers, Beep Beep in my Jeep. Oh, Newcastle in on goal here. Oh, he's done well. He's too slow. Too slow. Oh, save. Fucking save, mate. Fucking save. Outrageous save. The thing is, though, this is where it comes down to... Obviously, these kind of... these kind of things can happen at any level of the sport. But where you see... Who was this? Who was this with the shot? Was it... Who was this with the shot? I couldn't see from the camera angle who was with the shot, but the correct play, the correct way to put the goalkeeper in the most danger there was to drill the ball hard and low in the bottom left corner. Instead, he kind of went like head height towards the left side. Obviously, still an amazing save from the keeper. Very, very difficult to make that save, but if you would have drilled that ball hard and low, it would have made life much more difficult for the keeper there. That's a good point. Beep Beep in my Jeep is saying the Newcastle Jets think they're Barcelona, the way they try and play it out from the back, and they're wearing the same colours as Barcelona, right, dude? You can't play it like Beep Beep in my Jeep is saying. You can't play it out from the back with defenders who aren't good footballers, who aren't technically skilled on the ball, because the problem you'll get is with defenders that are not technically comfortable on the ball at all. What you'll find is if you can close them down and put them under pressure, they'll panic and make a mistake. And that's why you see at every point throughout this game, when the Newcastle Jets defenders have been on the ball, you've seen Melbourne City play a high line and put a lot of pressure on them just to try and force them into making a mistake. And, they have made a lot of mistakes. It's just that Melbourne haven't been able to make them pay for it. Had Melbourne had a semi-decent striker in this game, Melbourne would have won this game. But they just haven't looked dangerous at all in front of goal. That's the problem. They just haven't looked dangerous in front of goal. This is why I didn't like the double chance as much as I like both teams to score. I had a feeling Melbourne City would get an opportunity to score with how bad Newcastle looked defensively. But because they didn't look too dangerous going forward, I didn't feel like they had many goals in them. Maybe one or two. But that's when you err on the side of caution and think, well, if they only score 1 goal, is that going to be enough to beat Newcastle Jets? You know, what happens if Newcastle Jets go up the other end, counter? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you want to take that safe money. Both teams to score felt a lot safer than double chance. Just because of how ineffective Melbourne looked in front of goal. Jets on the counter. That's offside, surely. Oh, he's not offside. He's not offside. Petratos holds the ball up well. I like that from Petratos. Throughout this game, many players from both teams have rushed the ball in good positions, whereas Petratos did a good job of holding the ball up there. He's going to have a shot just over the bar. Just over the bar. Judgmental is asking about compound interest. So the thing is, mate, dude, I actually sat down a few days ago to make a video on compound interest, because to me it's like it's a very, very simple concept. Like for me, compound interest is just common sense, but it's not until you actually start to sit down and open up PowerPoint and you start to produce a piece of work on compound interest that you realize how like nuanced and complex it can be. So it's difficult for me to talk about compound interest here. But I am working on like a training course around compound interest. That should be probably one of the first ones I get done. But compound interest should be the foundation for every single thing you do in life, man. Everything from gambling to eating to fitness, anything, especially to doing money. And the basic principle is things can snowball, things can avalanche. If you consistently do the right thing the right way a lot, it starts to compound and snowball, where you start to see an increasingly bigger benefit and reward from consistently doing the right thing. But that can work the other way. If you consistently make bad decisions, then consistently worse things will happen to you. So for example, sorry, I just had a text message there, guys. So, for example, if you consistently eat good, get good sleep, you work out, everything else in your life is probably going to go better, because you'll have more energy levels to work harder. You'll be eating better food, so you won't be as stressed out and inflamed and angry as much. You'll build better relationships. Whereas, if you eat shit food, stay up late playing video games, drink alcohol, take drugs, that's going to have a knock-on effect with your relationships, your energy levels, which will affect your work, all that kind of stuff. That's just basically compound interest, but it applies to gambling. The more frequently you can put profits in the bank, the more the money will start to add up and accelerate, because you constantly reinvest in the profits you make. But it's a complex topic, man. I will be putting out information on it sometime over the next month or so. Again, Newcastle Jets, winning 2-1, and instead of just clearing the ball and get out of the danger area, they want to fuck about with the ball in the 6-yard box. It makes absolutely no sense at all. Almost gifting Melbourne City a goal there. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy, man. Only a couple minutes left to go here, boys. Oh yeah, beep beep in my Jeep. The lab should be done in the next couple of days, mate. I'm already working on the lab. The lab should be finished in the next couple of days, man. It should be done pretty soon. So the lab will be launching on the website probably by Wednesday. So it's going to be, I'm not sure where the lab is going to be on the website yet, but in the next month I'll be launching a new members area and you'll be able to find it there. But for now, it might probably just be a page or something that you can access. You know what, Moons? I am a little bit apprehensive to live bet esports for the same reason that I am apprehensive to live bet cricket. So all my live betting strategies revolve around anticipating momentum swings and identifying momentum swings, and surely it's got to be difficult to do that in esports because they're not actually athletes. You know what I mean? Like, they are kind of athletes, but ultimately it's just dudes sat in a chair playing video games. I don't know how you would be able to identify momentum swings in esports. Like you know, when you're watching a sport like football or MMA or basketball or ice hockey, you can look at the body language of players, their fatigue, you know, the way they interact with each other. All these things can give you subtle clues as the momentum swings come in. Whereas esports, you don't really have any of those signals at all. So it's tough, man. But that is it, boys. That is it. That is it. That is it. That is it, boys. We are done. We are done. Why is my iPad fucking up? There we go, boys. We are done. Boom, boom, boom. And my dog is deciding to go crazy in the background, boys. But we are done, boys. We are done. We are done. That is it. That is it for the live stream. So if you've got any questions, boys, check it in, and then we'll be done for today. I don't think there's any other sports that we can live bet today. I'll have a cheeky little look. C's, relax, dude. I'm trying to do a live stream. Fuck's sake, man. Right, boys. We'll see if we got anything else coming up that we could potentially live bet. But I won't just live bet anything. It's got to be sports that I'm comfortable with. Otherwise, you don't really have an edge. Let's take a look. Volleyball. Don't really know much about volleyball. I gotta be honest with you, boys. Don't really like tennis too much. Ice hockey is one of the sports I do actually get destroyed on when I live bet. It doesn't look like there's too much else coming up today, boys, to be honest. Esports, I can't see me having much of an edge on esports, boys, if I'm being honest with you. I need to get a fucking sponsor as well, man, advertising these betting sites in the background. How do I get a fucking sponsor? Shouldn't be fucking promoting LV bet and not getting paid for it, right? That's some bollocks. Although I doubt many people are going to be watching this, to be fair. Anyway, my hair's gone crazy as well. What the fuck's happened to my hair? Craziness, boys, craziness. Alright, I'll just catch up on the comments, and then that'll be it for today, boys. That will be it. That will be it. And we don't want to promote the betting site, so let's get my website up in the background. Let's see what we got. Oh, nice one, Philosopher, mate. We'll definitely do more live streams like this, dude. Yeah, I'm not sure how much the coronavirus is going to affect esports, Cyfix. I'm not too sure, dude. Nice one, Judge. Cheers, mate. Mark Koval is saying, also, do you consider your bankroll to be your entire net worth, or do you only allocate a portion of that to your role? I don't actually use a bankroll, mate. I do things very differently, Mark. Very, very differently. For me, a bankroll is a little bit of a stupid concept, because with the things that I bet on, there's only so much money you can bet on betting sites, right, with max bet limits and stuff. So it doesn't make sense to have like a huge pot of money just sat around gathering dust that you can't use. So what I basically do is I will put money onto a betting site, and I will grind that up until the betting account gets closed, and then I will withdraw it, and then I'll open up a new betting account, put money in, and start the grind again. So, like, in like, you know, in the magical world of gambling that people talk about online, where they talk about bankrolls and units and all this bollocks, it's not really practical for actually making money from gambling, because account closures mean that, you know, you can only really bet what the bookies are going to let you bet before they shut you down. So, yeah, I don't really use a bankroll, mate. I just bet percentages of each account balance. And I tend to have, you know, 5 to 7 betting accounts going at any one time. And then when I'm live betting a game or a fight, I will bet a percentage of each account balance, depending on how much I've got in there, man, and how confident I am in each bet. And this is another complex topic. It's like compound interest. The way that I manage my bankroll is completely, or I don't even like calling it a bankroll, but the way I bet is very, very different to how everyone else bets. But it's what works for me. It's worked great for me over the years, and it's very unconventional, but it's like what they say, man, when everyone moves left, you should move right. So my system works for me. It works great for me, and I make a lot of money from the system I use. It's very different, though. I haven't seen anyone else really talking about the way I do things online. It's very, very exclusive to me. So that's something else I'm going to be using, something else I'm going to be producing over this time without any UFC. I'm going to produce a course on the type of bankroll management I use. And then if people like it, they can use it. If people don't like it, well, they can do their own thing. But it's very, very effective for how I do things. Bearing in mind, the majority of money I make is from live betting, and I'm not sure if my strategy would be as effective for pre-game, pre-fight betting, because pre-game and pre-fight betting carries a hell of a lot more risk than live betting. So my kind of method for bankroll management is very much based on being able to maintain a high win rate, and it's difficult to maintain a high win rate when you're betting on pre-game, pre-fight bets, because variance on pre-game, pre-fight is very high, because such a massive percentage of the time fighters or teams don't show up and perform how you expected them to do due to inconsistency. Nice one, Alien, mate. Yes, Luke, we did win a bit of money on this live stream, dude. We hit a bet on Melbourne and Newcastle, both teams to score. 12 Ronaldo is saying, what are the main in-play markets you look for? So I try and stick to 3. Actually, that's not true. I stick to 3 on football and 4 on American sports. So the ones that I do... sorry, just catch up on a comment there. The 3 markets I like to focus on in football: money line, obviously win, either team wins or it ends in a draw. Double chance, both teams to score. Those are the 3 markets that I stick to in football betting, because this is going to be another principle that I think is really important. People overcomplicate things, right? People look at all the odds available on a sport. Like if we just bring up, say, this game here, look at all the different things that you can bet on, and people will be like, oh, what do you think about fucking total goals over 2.5, or what do you think about Rotor Volgograd minus 0.5? I don't fucking know. Like, the more variables you introduce into a bet, the more chance you've got of losing. So just get hyper-focused, hyper-specific on just a small range of markets and become an expert, become a master in those small range of bets, instead of trying to overcomplicate things and looking at all the different things you can bet on, because that'll just overwhelm you and ultimately it'll bait you and tempt you into making poor betting decisions. So for football, I just stick to both teams to score, double chance and straight match results. I do introduce a 4th one on American sports, so NFL, basketball, ice hockey, and I will bet the handicaps on. I will bet the handicaps, or the spread as they call them in America. I will bet the spread lines live on American sports, and that's because the spreads can be absolutely wild on American sports. So, for example, a cheeky little strategy for American sports for you: at certain times in like NFL and basketball, teams will get on like a heater. Like you see it a lot in basketball, where teams will get on a heater and they'll go and score like 20 points in a short space of time in a game, and their opponents may only score like 3 or 4 points in that time, and it will just be a period of utter domination in the game, which will mean the scores between the 2 teams will widen dramatically, where, you know, one team might be ahead by 30 points. And when you see that happen, the spread odds, the handicap odds on American sports can get out of control. Now, in games like that, it's very, very important to try and make a distinction between, is a team getting crushed, or is a team just having a small blip in the game where they're getting rolled over and dominated, and will they be able to come back into the game and make it competitive again? And a really good way to gauge that is if a game is pretty competitive, and then, you know, there's been no injuries, you know, no players have been, key players have been sent off, and then all of a sudden there's like a 5-10 minute period in a game where this team that was at one point competitive gets absolutely steamrolled and concedes a ton of points. Well, you can look at, you know, is that because they're not skilled enough to be competitive with this team, or is that just because they've hit a little blip in that game? Maybe their opposition is just doing everything right. Maybe they're unmanageable. Maybe their opponents have got into that flow state for that 5-10 minute period, and, you know, they can't deal with them. In these types of situations, what you want to watch out for is, if the game's competitive at the beginning, wait for the signs that the heater is about to slow down, and then when the game returns to normality and it goes back to being semi-competitive, place a spread money line bet very early on. Because if a team goes down by, say for example it was a competitive game, and they were only like in a basketball match, say there was only like 2 to 4 points separating the teams for maybe like the first, you know, I don't know, like the first quarter, right? And then in the second quarter, one of the teams hits a heater and they go ahead by 20 points. If you can bet on the losing team at, you know, spread odds, handicap odds of like +17, +18, which is very, very common in American sports, usually at around even money, well, you're getting a great deal, because it's very unlikely that if the game was competitive in the first quarter and nothing has really changed in terms of the players on the pitch, that the team that goes and gets a crazy heater, you know, scoring 20 points in a short amount of time, it's unlikely they're going to be able to sustain that in the third and fourth quarters. Because as we've said before, sports is a game of momentum swings. Momentum will swing back and forth. Maybe the team that is getting completely dominated goes on a heater, closes the gap. I mean, we see it in basketball all the time. Maybe they pull back 20 points. So if you can get, you know, roughly money line odds on, you know, bets that are, you know, a very, very generous spread, that is another great strategy, and something that I use on American sports. And strategies like that are universal, which is why I say it doesn't matter what sport I live bet. I make money on all sports I live bet, but I pick my battles. You're not going to see me go out and live bet fucking cricket or badminton or esports, because I don't know a lot about those sports. But if you know a little bit, if you know a decent amount on some sports, using these principles, you can make a lot of money. A hell of a lot. Mad Music is asking, why is hockey so hard to bet? It's a fun sport. Do you know what, dude? I watch a lot of ice hockey live. I go to tons of ice hockey games for my local club. I love ice hockey. Ice hockey is probably like my third favourite sport behind MMA and football. But for some reason, I just get absolutely destroyed live betting ice hockey. And I think it's because, with, again, it comes back to live betting principles, right? My strategy for making money live betting any sport is all about anticipating momentum swings and spotting momentum swings. And I just find it incredibly difficult to do this for ice hockey, because ice hockey is such a fast-paced sport that teams can just score out of nowhere. Like, teams can just score out of thin air. Like, teams could be getting dominated and still win a game 3-0. Ice hockey is very unique in that teams can be penned in and struggling, and their opposition having a huge amount of possession, a huge amount of shots on target, but then they can easily just go up the other end, score and win the game. Ice hockey, I find it very, very difficult to predict the momentum swings, and this is going to be another big part of the course as well. A big part of the course is playing to your strengths. I know I have a huge edge live betting MMA. I know I have a huge edge live betting football. I know I have a huge edge live betting NFL. I know I have a huge edge live betting basketball. I know I have a huge edge live betting darts. Why would I want to take good money, good profits that I earn from live betting those sports and risk it on esports or cricket or ice hockey, where I know I probably won't have as big of an edge because the principles, tactics, strategies I use aren't going to be as effective on those sports. So it's all about being disciplined, man, and playing to your strengths. William acted saying YouTube doing you dirty, not showing in sub boxes. I only saw you alive due to having your channel notifications on. Oh, that's good to know, William. Thanks, mate. That is good to know. It's probably why we haven't got many people watching. Usually we have at least 100 watching on YouTube, but we only have like 30 people watching now, which isn't good. Not good at all, man. William is saying, let me just grab a quick drink, boys. We'll grab a quick one. So William is saying, in your opinion, when will MMA come back? If you had to say, I read a BBC article saying this could carry on until vaccine or herd immunity, which may be until 2021. So I think with coronavirus, man, I think the same as what Donald Trump posted today, dude. I think that what Donald Trump posted today, and I'll bring it up. Now, I really, I've been a supporter of Donald Trump, man. I really have. But he said some stuff recently which is making it really hard for me to support Trump. In terms of, calling this a Chinese virus and stuff, I just think it's very inflammatory. So I think Trump's been really, really off with the way that he's dealt with a lot of the stuff to do with coronavirus. Some of the stuff he said, I think that he is he's shown a dark side of him, man, which I don't think is a very good thing. I think maybe Trump has possibly turned some people off the way he's managed this coronavirus thing who previously supported him. I've supported Trump, but some of the stuff he's saying, man, it's hard to get behind. But anyway, gotta say, Boris Johnson's doing a fucking incredible job in the UK. Boris is the fucking man. He's the greatest Prime Minister we've had in my lifetime. The guy's a fucking legend. But Trump posted this today, which said, we cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself. At the end of the 15-day period, we will make a decision as to which way we want to go. And this kind of hints at how I've been feeling from this at the beginning. At the moment, social distancing is very, important to flatten the curve of coronavirus and everything like that. But what we've got to be really careful of is, if life stays like this for too long, in terms of entire economies shutting down, and I know there are going to be people listening to this who will be outraged, right? Outrage culture, who will be like, how can you say that? You conservative capitalist bastard. People are dying, lives are important. I agree. I've got 2 elderly parents. My mum hasn't got, the best. My mum struggles with a lot of, respiratory infections and stuff. I don't want this coronavirus thing to spread, man. And I think social distancing is very important. But there will come a pain point where you're going to have to consider, are the consequences to completely shutting down economies worth it? That's what you've got to think about. If you get 20% unemployment, food shortages, people starving to death, hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs, is that, businesses going bankrupt? There was a crazy stat. I think that the Wall Street Journal put out a stat earlier this week that most businesses have got enough cash flow to survive for 16 days. Something like 80% of businesses have got enough cash flow to survive for 16 days without going bankrupt. How long can governments keep printing money for, to try and bail businesses out, to try and bail people out before we see hyperinflation? And I think it will come a point where, people are going to have to really consider, you know, what is going to be more damaging to society? The reaction to coronavirus with social distancing and all businesses shutting down, or the number of people that will be infected and die. It is a horrible situation to be in, but I do know that if you shut down everything for 3 months, which some people are on about doing, you'll have millions of people unemployed. You'll have people starving to death. You'll have businesses going bankrupt that will never recover. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that might be way worse than what the coronavirus could do if herd immunity really does work. So it's a tough one, man. It is a tough one. So I kind of agree with Trump here, even though he hasn't been saying stuff lately that is acceptable. You know what I mean? I think Trump's been saying some pretty disgusting stuff, calling it the Chinese virus and stuff. It's just inflammatory. There's no need to do it. Do you know what I mean? There's no need to do it. So yeah, let's get off the coronavirus, man. This is not about the coronavirus. I could talk about it all day. Let's get back to gambling, man. Let's get back to gambling. What have we got? William Apted is saying, are you investing in stock? Oh, so to answer William Apted's question, I think we'll get MMA back pretty soon. I think a month, minimum of a month, without maximum of 2 months. I can't see this going on any longer for 2 months because I think at the moment everyone is super passionate about social distancing until they start to see food shortages and their friends losing their jobs, their friends losing their businesses. Like at the moment it's great, everyone's happy, oh, we can stay at home and work from home and get paid. That's all cool until businesses start going bankrupt and people stop getting paid and people can't go into the supply chain in supermarkets to work. And then you start getting food shortages, and when countries started closing their borders and not exporting food that they produce, like countries like India have already started doing this with pharmaceuticals and food exports. Everything's great. Everyone wants to work from home and social distance and flatten the curve now. But 2 months down the line, when people are starving to death, we've got mass unemployment, mass bankruptcies, mass business closures. I think that the public perception will change quite a bit. So I do think we'll get MMA back pretty soon. I would say within 2 months, when the reality of the economic situation really hits people, because it's fucking bad. It's very, very bad. Very, very bad. And that's a nice segue into your next question, man, from William Apted, saying, are you investing in stock soon or property in case inflation wrecks people holding a lot of cash? Sorry for the questions, but may as well capitalise. There's only 18 people here. Nice one, William. No, mate, I'm not investing in anything yet, mate, because I think this is going to get real bad. Way worse than it is now. I will invest at some point, but it ain't anytime soon. I think everything is going to go down to dramatic levels we've never even seen before. I think this is just the beginning. I think this is going to be the biggest, nastiest, most horrible, devastating recession we've ever seen before. Because in any recession we've hit before, there's always been like an acute event which has, triggered that recession. So, back in 2008, it was financial institutions letting people borrow too much money to buy properties that they couldn't afford to repay, right? That's what caused the 2008 recession, and obviously some big financial institutions going under, going bankrupt due to all kinds of financial fraud. This is different because now we're talking about entire countries shutting down, entire economies shutting down. This is unprecedented. If you have an entire country shut down for a month or 2 months, that is devastating, like absolutely devastating. And the problem with market cycles, investment cycles, where you talk about, the stock market going up and down, or the commodities market going up and down, or crypto going up and down, we know that all market behaviors are driven by, but they're basically driven by fear or euphoria, in the sense that when everything's going great, when everything's going up, people get euphoric and they want to throw money into it. When Bitcoin was on its way up in 2017, how many people bought the top at 18, 19, 20,000 because it was going up and everyone was euphoric and they wanted to throw their money into it. And then, in January 2018, when Bitcoin started to dive, Bitcoin was a scam. Everyone was having a meltdown, and every single market cycle is driven by fear and euphoria that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the reason why Bitcoin got to 20k is because when people saw it at 10 and 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 and 15,000, they all threw their money in, right? They got euphoric. They all FOMO'd in, the fear of missing out, and that then made them fucking buy the top at 20k. Every single market, whether it's the stock market, the commodities market, everything is driven by this fear and euphoria, and it runs in cycles. And once you trigger one of these cycles, the market cycles, it takes a very long time to get out of these market cycles. So an example being, crypto is a great example because actually we'll use the 2008 stock market crash, but many people will be more familiar with that. So actually, no, let's do crypto. Crypto's more recent. Crypto's bull run's more recent. A lot of people wouldn't have been around and investing in 2008, so you wouldn't have remembered it. But basically, market cycles are driven by fear and euphoria, and it takes a long time to get out of these cycles, because what happens is people that make their what I call retail investors, the majority of people, just like your mum, your dad, people watching the stream, regular people like you and I, will make our investment decisions usually very emotionally and with kind of like a herd mentality. You've heard the expression from crypto back in 2016, 2017, buy now because the herd is coming, meaning get in early because the herd will come, the majority of people will come, they will buy and they will drive the price up. When you go through these market cycles, it takes a long time to get out of the cycles, because imagine all these retail investors, these regular people that bought into crypto, and got absolutely destroyed. They lost loads of money. Well, the emotion goes from euphoria, oh my god, Bitcoin's amazing, it's going to be a new global currency, it's going to change the world, I'm going to remortgage my house, I'm going to buy crypto with fucking credit cards, and I'm going to take out loans, and I'm all in, I'm going to put every single penny that I've got into crypto, I'm going to do everything I can to get as much Bitcoin as humanly possible. And that is a euphoric state of mind, which drives the price up. Yeah, the price goes up, the market goes up, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Everyone's euphoric, so they pour more money in, which means everything goes up. Problem is, when things start to go down and people lose a lot of money, the retail investors lose a lot of money, they bought at the top, that generates fear. Right, that creates a feeling of fear. So the market is then driven by fear as opposed to euphoria. So euphoria drives the market price up, fear drives the market price down. And the reason why fear is such a powerful, prolonged force is because if you've lost a load of money investing in, Bitcoin, for example, say, let's bring up the Tesla chart. So Tesla was in the news lately for going on a crazy rally, right, up to $900. If we just bring Tesla up here, and you'll see exactly what I mean. So Tesla had a huge bull run all the way up from $220 all the way up to a high of just short of $1,000. And it took, what? If we just switch to 1 year here, if we just switch to the 1 year, or if we go to the monthly chart, right? So it took Tesla... let's see, so if we look at this level here, $353. So it took Tesla from June 2017, right, to February 2020. So it took Tesla 3 years to go from $380 up to almost $1,000. And then it took 1 day, or 1 week, 1 month, right? So it took 3 years to go from $380 to $1,000, right? 3 years, but then it took a month, a month to lose all that value and go back to $380. 1 month, from February 2020 to March 2020. So at this stage, euphoria drove the market, Euphoria drove the market. Price of Tesla started skyrocketing. Everyone bought in. Look at this big ugly candle in February, all the way up to $1,000. Euphoria drove the market. And then as soon as people started dumping Tesla stock at $1,000, driving the price down, all the way back down to $380, everyone that bought in from these levels, $380 and up, lost money. Everyone lost money. right? There's got to be, for every winner, there's got to be a loser. Everyone that bought above 380, well, not above 380, probably above $500. If they didn't get out quick enough, they would have lost money, right? Or broken even. Imagine the fear that will drive now. These people that lost money on Tesla are not going to be rushing out to go invest in stocks again because they just got destroyed, right? They just lost a huge percentage of their money. They rushed out, bought Tesla at $500, $600, $700, and within a month it dumped right back down to 380, where it was at 2017 prices. So that creates a market cycle sentiment of fear, which means that once people have been burnt by the stock market, they're not going to want to then go and put money back into the stock market for a long time. So a recession becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, where because people aren't investing, new money's not coming in, stock prices aren't going up. They're just facing a slow death. So it'll be very, very difficult for Tesla to bounce back from this, because the market sentiment at the moment is driven by fear. It's not driven by euphoria. And it's going to take a very long time to get over this. Like all these people that are saying, I see it on Twitter all the time and I cringe. People on Twitter are like, buy the dip. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, buying the dip. You're not buying the dip at the moment. You're buying the tip of a crater in a giant fucking massive pit that is just about to form. We are nowhere near the worst of this recession yet. This is just getting warmed up. And you'll probably see Tesla come down to these levels, $100 levels. This level, probably $180, I would imagine. So this is so far away from where I would start to put money in. We are nowhere near. This is going to get very, 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 very bad. We're talking about fucking nations and economies shutting down for months. Even just for 4 weeks, that is devastating to an economy. We're just getting warmed up. So don't buy the dip. Don't listen to these guys on Twitter say, buy the dip. I'm buying Bitcoin today, or I'm buying Tesla, or I'm buying fucking Amazon stocks. It's all bollocks, boys. This is going to get very, 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 very bad. So cash is the best place to have your money right now. And the good news about, what we do here, you can make money from live betting no matter what economy we're in. All we need is sports, and that's why at the moment it's a difficult time for us. We don't have many sports, but hopefully once we get back on track, boys, we will start making cash. We'll start making a lot of cash from live betting, so that when the right time does come to start investing again, we'll be sat on a big chunk of cash to be able to do it effectively. But now is not the right time, boys. This is just getting warmed up. This is a huge trend reversal, and at the moment all markets are driven by fear, not euphoria, which is a bad time to be putting your money into something. We're not there yet. So sorry for that long-winded explanation, boys. We got there in the end. I don't think there's any more comments. We're going to wrap this up pretty soon. Beep beep in my Jeep is saying the principle is wait for an event to happen, a goal, a takedown, spread of points, will make odds change a lot and take a position against this odds movement. No, that's not really the principle. The principle's a bit more complicated than that, dude. The principle's quite a lot more complicated than that, dude. But this live stream is going to go on for a long time if I go into the nuances of it. But that's, I guess, what the training course is from. I'm working hard on that. I'm going to go do the training course after this, carry on working on it. But yeah, the principle's quite a complicated one. Beep beep in my Jeep saying, nah, I agree, totalization like here in France or Italy is not a good solution. We should do like Korea did, testing everybody and isolate only positive persons, not the entire population. I agree. Anyway, that is it, boys. That is going to be it for this live stream. Thank you to everyone that watched. I hope you enjoyed it. Also hope you made a little bit of money. Shout out to the Melbourne City motherfucking beasts that put the goal in the net and cash that bet for us. And what did we say, boys? What did we say? We said Craig Noon. We said Craig Noon was a game changer. We said Craig Noon was a game changer, and he was. Because if we look at Craig Noon, he got the assist. We said Craig Noon was a dangerous winger. He would get the ball into dangerous positions. And Berenguer put the ball away in the 70th minute for us to cash us a nice little bet on a Monday morning. But anyway, boys, that is going to be it for this live stream. Thank you for watching. I love you all. And I'll be back with another one as soon as we get some sports to live bet. So take care, everybody. George Ma, I do. George Ma, I do, mate. I do. So take care, everybody. Love you all. And I will see you all very, very soon.